Hey, welcome back to Trytryingharder. I'm Guido. First off, I need to give a huge shout out to Snaptain and Best Buy for providing me this drone to review. Now, some of you with a sharp memory might remember Trytryingharder unboxing number 49.
And here's the guy, or gal.
Yeah, that was my unboxing of the Snaptain E10 foldable drone. That video was posted in January 2024. It is now 2026. You might be asking, Guido, why did it take over 2 years to post the actual flight review? Well, the very first day I took this thing out, it cost me a brand new phone screen. And the last day I took it out, let's just say it ended up at the bottom of a lake. Now look at this drone. Does this look like a drone that spent time swimming with the fishes? No, it looks absolutely perfect. But today, we're going to see if this pristine looking Snaptain E10 is actually a great beginner drone or if it's a completely dead, waterlogged brick. Let's get into it.
Before we talk about its watery demise, let's look at what this little guy was supposed to do. On paper, the Snaptain E10 is a super lightweight beginner drone, only 158 grams, meaning you don't have to register it with the FAA. Inside the case, you get 2 batteries promising about 18 minutes of flight time each, a 1080p camera adjustable up to 90 degrees, and some snap-on propeller guards. The controller itself is pretty compact and felt decent in the hands. It's got your standard joysticks, a speed switch, a 1-key takeoff and landing button, and an advertised range of 150 meters. You also have foldable antennas on the top and a dedicated phone mount that pulls out from the bottom so you can see the live camera feed. And that phone holder is where the first disaster struck.
If you watched my unboxing, you might remember me pointing out they recommend taking the case off your phone so it fits snugly. Well, I hate taking my case off, but I did it. Here's the problem. If you clamp your phone in normally, slide it in here, the grip squeezes directly on your volume and power buttons, especially with the case off. Now, if you put your phone in with the buttons facing down, they fit into this groove. It actually works great, but that wasn't part of the warning or the instructions. Because I didn't know that, I had the phone clamped like halfway, totally off center to avoid the buttons. I took it outside, got it up in the air mid-test flight. Because the clamp wasn't holding my phone securely, my phone slipped right out of the clamp and face planted flat on the concrete. Screen shattered, day ruined, drone went back in the box for a very long time. But eventually, I got my screen fixed, got over my anger, and decided it was time for a grand flight demo. Which brings us to the lake.
Right as we got ready to take off, I ran into a major issue. I put a brand new SD card in the drone for clean 1080p footage, but it completely refused to format it. No matter what I tried, it wouldn't recognize the card. Honestly, I should have expected the jankiness. On my first day in the backyard, this thing flew right into a bush, a tree, and then directly into me. When I tried to self-land on the deck, it veered sideways, hit a toy, and chipped a propeller. I tried putting the propeller guards on later, but they literally flew right off the drone. Because of that SD card error, I had to stream the video straight to my phone over Wi-Fi. As you can see, the feed is full of delay and heavy jitter. You completely cannot use it to fly. The manual claims this thing handles 3 meters per second wind, but there is no way. The slightest breeze sends it everywhere. On an earlier cold day, it randomly lost all altitude and just plopped to the ground at 75% battery. So out here at the lake, between the laggy phone stream and the breeze, the controls felt like steering a grocery cart with a broken wheel. I took it over the lake to get some scenic shots. The wind picked up just a little bit. The connection lagged, and the drone completely stopped responding to my controller. It drifted, the phone feed cut to black, and we'll listen to how this voyage ended.
Now you're probably wondering, Guido, if that thing did a submarine impression in a lake, how is it sitting on your table right now? Well, luckily, I had my inflatable boat with me. I paddled out to the crash site, spotted it resting on the bottom, and managed to scoop it out of the water with my paddle. I brought it home, dried it out, and against all physical odds, look at this thing. The camera lens is clear, the battery bay is dry, and there's obviously no rust on the motors. But looking good is one thing. Does this waterlogged brick actually still turn on? Well, let's find out. Yeah, dead as a doornail. I can't say I'm surprised, but a guy can hope, right? So what's the final verdict on the Snaptain E10? Honestly, it's a pass for me. Even before it took a bath, the experience wasn't good. The software refused to format a standard SD card. The laggy Wi-Fi stream made the controls feel incredibly mushy, and the poorly designed phone holder completely sacrificed my screen to the sidewalk. There was just too much frustration before the crash even happened. If you do buy one of these, learn from my mistakes. Put your phone in the clamp with the buttons facing down so it actually stays centered. Use the propeller guards on day one, and definitely keep it away from lakes. But hey, that's what this channel is about. We try, we fail, we learn. Mostly we just try harder next time. If you want to see me review a drone that actually survives its maiden voyage, make sure to hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, and like this video. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you aren't out there making mistakes and losing drones in lakes, you need to try trying harder.